Hello and welcome to the Telescope. Every week we bring you a fresh insight from the biggest car market in the world. This looks like a regular BMW 3 Series, right? But it's actually the China-only battery electric version of the 3 Series. You could buy this car today in China as little as 24,000 euros. New, straight from BMW dealership, and that's the cash price. If you buy this car on finance, you can get it for even less than that. And nobody has forced BMW to do this. This car originally went on sale in China for about 45,000 euros back in March 2022. That's the kind of price that you would normally expect for a 3 Series, right? So how did this car go from 45,000 euros to 24,000 euros in a little bit more than 2 years? If you're wondering if BMW had cut some corner to hit that price tag, they haven't. This is a genuine 3 Series in every way. Family look, good quality interior, and the BMW iDrive system. The owner of this car has put on some aftermarket carbon fiber interior trim to this car, but this is a real 3 Series in every way. This car has a longer wheelbase than the global spec 3 Series by 110 millimeters. This is standard practice for models that's dedicated to the Chinese car market. I'm 5'11". This is a very generous second row, much more roomy than the global spec standard wheelbase 3 Series. I went in depth on this topic on the Volkswagen Tiguan L Pro review. That's also a model that's dedicated to China and with its wheelbase lengthened by 110 millimeters. Because of the extra weight from the battery and the rear-mounted electric motor, this 3 Series has air springs on the rear axle. I kid you not. So a 3 Series with air springs for 24,000 euros. So you might wonder, why has this car dropped to nearly half price in a little bit more than 2 years? Could this happen in your country as well? I don't think so, because only in China you have competition like this. This is the Zeekr 007. I've done a full review of this car back in January. So for my full opinion on that, check out that video. I bring it here just to give you some perspective on these two cars. They are almost identical in size, but they do look like from two different generations. I'm not saying the Zeekr 007 is that much prettier, because I totally understand why someone would feel this car is too big of a step, too bold, too progressive, and still prefer the 3 Series. But this design does look fresh, if not outright beautiful. The same feeling continues to the interior. This looks like a design for 2024, where the 3 Series is still, for the lack of a better word, pre-pandemic. To be fair, Zeekr isn't exactly known in China for its infotainment software, to put it politely, but it's still way ahead of the BMW. You have native apps, everything is made, custom made for this system, and you also has a much more usable voice command. You can voice command everything on screen. Here in the BMW, we have CarPlay, which is fine. But having tried the Zeekr and jumping to this, you feel like CarPlay is the safe second choice rather than the best first choice. Every time when you want to pinch and zoom on the map and find out you couldn't, you realize, oh, I'm on CarPlay, I cannot do that. And Siri is so much inferior to the voice command on the Zeekr. I'm waiting for ChatGPT to save Siri from its misery. This 3 Series is single motor rear wheel drive, has about 280 horsepower. If you're experienced with cars, then you will know this is plenty fast enough. You don't need anything significantly faster than this for your daily routine, right? But that Zeekr 007 has 136 horsepower more than this. That car starts at 420 horsepower, and I'm comparing base spec to base spec. I still find it hard to believe that a car for 25,500 euros can start with 420 horsepower, but that's just the way it is. That's the reality. So given a choice, why would you choose a car that has 130 horsepower less? This is on the 400 volt architecture. That Zeekr 007 is 800 volt. That means the Zeekr 007 charges easily twice as fast, more than twice as fast as this. And that 007 in its base spec has 150 kilometers more range than this under the China CLTC cycle. This is roughly 560 kilometers CLTC. That Zeekr 007 is rated at 668 kilometers in its base spec. It's doing that on a battery that's only about 8% bigger than this. So the 007 is both more efficient and has a bigger battery than this, while being only 7 to 8% more expensive. Tell me, which one would you choose? If you spend about 2,000 euros extra on the Zeekr 007, you can have all the hardware necessary to drive itself, even in urban conditions. Granted, the software isn't ready. We're expecting that to be ready by the end of this year. And Zeekr is not exactly industry leader in assisted driving in the Chinese car market. Both Huawei, Li Xiang, XPeng, NIO, all four of them are ahead of Zeekr. Those cars can already drive itself on various levels in urban conditions. But that Zeekr 007 can already drive itself on the highway, change lanes, overtake cars, switch between highways. And this 3 Series, it can lane keep. I mean, it's a very mature and easy to use and reliable lane keep system, but it just feels like BMW have never even thought about this in this 3 Series. And in the next generation, you've seen the concept cars for the next generation 3 Series. It's advertised to have huge heads-up display covering the whole windscreen. It has funny ways to interact with the drivers, but it doesn't even mention it has anywhere near the level of assisted driving capabilities compared to cars on the Chinese car market right now, on the market today. And that system, that software takes years to develop. It looks like these two cars are living in two different worlds. And the fact that BMW 3 Series is behind on digital features is quite striking when you consider it was the BMW iDrive that first started this bigger screen, more digital in-car experience. My mum has a straight 6 BMW X5, which was fine. It was that system that told me wireless CarPlay could be reliable as well. It doesn't need to drop out every once in a while like my ID3 system. And let's be fair to the 3 Series, it's not totally behind on every front. I've mentioned this rear cabin in the Zeekr 007 original review. I said this is the benchmark, the class-leading rear cabin. But this is still not the class-leading rear cabin that, in my opinion, in the Chinese car market, at least in this class of vehicle, still belongs to the BMW i3. And having these two cars side by side today, I stand by that point. This partially because it's a petrol converted platform, you sit much taller, you have a lot more interior headroom. That 007, because it wants to keep that 1450mm vehicle height, doesn't sit as tall as this. You're more or less sitting on the floor a little bit. This is the best rear cabin in this class, but when something like this is on the market, it's very hard to compete against. So what did BMW do? They dropped the price from 45,000 to 24,000 euros. That is all from the Telescope today. If you enjoyed this video, keep watching, keep subscribing. More videos coming along very soon.